Welcome back to Africa This Morning. We're now on Table Talk, and today we're going to be featuring a prolific upcoming artist in Kenya on our segment to discuss the inspiration of your art. Share with us who you are, how you got here, and what type of art you focus on.
My name is Gitau Macharia. I'm from UsaaniKansil yenye iko Jericho Community Center, where we do a lot of art, performing, visual, and the literal arts. For myself, I do performing arts. I'm an artist. I sing, I rap, I write poetry, and also I do some painting on the side and some beadworks. Yeah.
The reason I got you in studio is because I saw some of, I think it's a sculpture, it's a painting, it's everything put into one. It has jewelry. I saw it at Creative's Garage, which is an institute that helps nurture upcoming artists in the country. Share with us what that piece was, because the viewers are going to be catching a glimpse of that, so that we know what exactly inspires you to get your art out.
I believe the piece we're talking about is the one we did in Sondeka Fest, that we did a couple of months ago. It was late last year, and it came courtesy of Creative's Garage, and the theme was Kenya at 50. So we thought, what will symbolize Kenya at 50? Because Kenya has come a long way.
And we're still journeying on in the year at 50.
And we believe Kenya is not just 50 years. I say 50 million years, because Kenya was there. Kenya was there before everybody else, because Africans are all over the world. So in terms of our art, we thought, what will symbolize Kenya? So we did that piece in terms of what will represent it. So we came with the sculpture, we came on an idea, tutafanya sculpture. So tukasema tutafanya sculpture. The sculpture embodies the four elements that make up the person, the nature. That is the earth, wind, water, and fire. That is the thing that we came up, that influenced us to do what we did.
Earth, wind, water, and fire.
Yeah.
When you're looking,
elements we make. When
you're looking at your inspiration, if those are the elements that were the inspiration of that particular sculpture, in Kenya, we respect those elements because they're very strong in terms of our identity as a country. Do we respect that? Do we respect the fact that Kenya was here before the rest of us as an artist?
As artists do that, but not the ordinary people. Ordinary people don't appreciate art. Sorry to say that. Ordinary people don't appreciate art because they don't know art. What is art? Because everybody is an artist, even if you don't know you're an artist. Because if you can cook, you're an artist. If you can write something, you're an artist. But people don't know that. So that's
how would you define an artist?
An artist is someone who creates. And creates something from scratch. Yeah.
And when you look at the environment right now, do you feel Kenya supports, not in terms of appreciating the support structures that are there when you're going to school? I know you must have been still sketching when you're in school, writing when you're in school, rapping when you're in school, even when you're not supposed to be rapping, you are rapping. Share with us how you journey to this point and whether you think there's a support for people like you who are artists in the country.
The funny thing when Kiwa Chuo Mimi, art wasn't there, as in it was looked down upon. You know, everybody, anyone who was doing art was like he was a failure in the society, and the people still look like that today. So we're trying to change that focus and trying to bring art and show people it's a positive thing and it can change people to live right. Yeah.
Right now you have several forums or platforms that you're using to express yourself. You're writing. We have several books that are here that are featured. We have your spoken word, we have your t-shirts, we have your sculptures. The viewers are going to have a glimpse of what is your main passion. You know, they say you can't be a jack of all trades because you'll be a master of none. What is your main?
My main form of art, I do rap. I have a couple of albums. My stage name is Kunta.
Kunta Kinte.
Okay. You know
yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I was a big fan of Kunta Kinte.
Yes.
And he really gave me the passion to do what I do.
That taps into the African identity. What do you think entertainment right now, as an artist, do you think that there's that platform that celebrates the African identity? Because Kunta Kinte was quite a strong identity in the African culture.
I think that's where we come in as UsaaniKansil. We are trying to create those platforms, and that's where we have networked with people like Creative's Garage, so we can create a platform for the people who don't have that platform. Because Palisi tumetoka, there's a lot of negative images coming from there. I'm from Jericho. Yeah. It's synonymous with Shmoli. And where the community center is based, where we at, is where Shmoli came from. So we're trying to show people there's a light where there's darkness. So we're trying to portray that in a positive
When you're
way.
talking to, for example, community leaders or even community members, even your peers in the community, do you feel there's a change in the perspective? Because taking on the campaign, there's a light in the darkness. It can be quite difficult. Do you feel that there's a change so far?
Yeah, there's a change so far because the people who have to influence first is the kids. We will love the kids so much because the kids are the future.
Yeah.
If we influence them positively, then the future will be positive for us. So we are working mostly with the kids. Like just the other day, we had another event which was called Moja Talanta, where we hosted some kids from Dagoretti, where we are working with them in some projects. They are from a children's home. We are working with them. We are teaching them art, all the arts that I've told you about, and it's a positive thing we are doing.
Let's look at your books first. And actually, before we even zone in on the books, when you're looking at the different platforms that you use to express yourself, do you feel like when you're doing your rapping, you talk about a different story? When you're writing, you talk about a different story? When you're sculpting and with the painting, do you talk at the different platforms representations of different topics of yourself, or is it the same theme running through and through the African identity?
You know, life changes every day. So we have different experiences, different motivations. So every day changes. The theme that influences our art changes every day because of the people who are around us, because they are the ones who give us the topics, not literally as in how they live their lives, how they talk. We derive the topics from there, and that's where we create our arts from.
An interesting aspect that the viewer might not know, this is not my own. This is one of your creations, jewelry. Tell us the story behind this, because you've not even mentioned it as your top forms of expression.
Like I've said before, we're a group of many artists. Like me, I'm a rapper. I do some beadwork. The other guy who do beadworks. I do painting. Some others who do painting. Also, we have women also in our group.
Yes. Yeah. When you're looking at, okay, because the moment you mentioned that you're doing jewelry, I thought, assuming wrong, I assumed that you would be the group that would be targeting this, and it's very refreshing that you have women also included in the group. What's the balance? How many members do you have? What is the challenge in terms of balancing creative identity? Because when I come in and I want to express myself in this particular way and I'm an artist, I feel nobody should create barriers for me. How do you manage balancing everyone's identity in the group?
We don't necessarily look at the numbers because
that's very artsy.
We don't look at the numbers because art is not that democratic with the principles of democracy at the majority means or that. We just work with the numbers that want to work with us. The one who influence work with us. The one, because we have many outreach campaigns that are going, like the ones that I'm talking about for the women. It's called Mama Watoto. Currently, it's being run in Jiru by our member called Mwende Mbinda. She's running the project in Jiru.
And when you're looking at the women's expression of art, and I don't know whether you'd be able to dissect the women's expression of art and the men's expression of art, what do you feel the group has done in terms of empowering both genders?
For women, we don't have many women in our group because I think it's kama si wasichana hawapendi art ama nini.
That's a lie.
Because we have tried to bring some of women into our group, but we haven't been successful in bringing so much women into our group, but we're trying.
And when you're looking at the government right now, this is not a serikali question, serikali tusaidie, no. The government has put forward its claims that it is a government that will support entertainment, it will support art, it will support expression of the youth in society. Are there talks that are underway from your group and maybe even through Creatives Garage to just, push for the agenda of artists in Kenya, and at the same time just present a bigger platform for artists to express themselves?
I can't comment on the government and their policies because it's too early to comment on their policies and their impact. So for now, we are just doing our thing. Tunafanya our thing with the help of the Most High.
Okay, that is a quote that is very reggae. So we are going to move on to showing the viewers your book so that at least we understand what exactly you focus on. I touch on this one first because it touches on stories that are very familiar to those who grew up with the storybooks of Fisi, Sungura. Tell us, what's the inspiration of this story? How did you get the story published, and what are some of the challenges you overcame?
Like one of this book is from one of our members. It's called Joy Kamunde.
Yes.
He's one of our elders in the group, and it came through about. We have so many projects that influenced this.
Yes.
Under the program that this book came about is called Mashinani Institute. Mashinani Institute is a program which inasaidia watu kupata books. The people at the lower, at the grassroots, we want them to get books because people are ignorant. From where I'm from, people are ignorant. People don't know how to read, maybe they're illiterate, and we want them to read and get the information that we have. Maybe we're enlightened, so we can speak, but our people are not that enlightened, and we want to lift them out of that ignorance. So we create books that they can read in their own language. Like the anthology that we are also creating, an anthology that is coming soon. And it comprises many languages. It's going to have Sheng, it's going to have English, and many other languages.
Some would say that Sheng is actually going to be corrupting them further, considering that illiteracy is already a challenge.
You know, when they say Sheng is going to corrupt, I think that's a lie, because it's a form of expression. Language is a form of expression. That's how we express ourselves. I can't say I'm a Luo and I can speak Luo. I'm a Sheng person, so I speak Sheng. So I can't say I'm Natinaribu. Yeah.
So maybe you can share with us some of the aspects that you would want the population to know about when it comes to, you know, pushing forward the agenda of art in the country and also among the youth, because most of the time you find that the youth are not usually, this is very conventional, traditional art. They usually slide towards entertainment that would get them money immediately, but not legacy art. Share with us your thoughts on, you know, those who are interested in getting into the industry of art and how they need to, you know, approach the whole sphere, because it can be a bit difficult.
The first thing I'll advise them is, first you should have talent. Talent is all that matters first in art. Yeah, that is the first requisite. You should have talent, then passion.
Yes.
You should know what you want. We know what I want. We know what we want. That's why we started.
And maybe you can share with us what the major vision is.
As UsaaniKansil, we have a bigger vision. We are going throughout Africa and spreading this knowledge of African culture, because in the African culture, it's not socialism, it's not communism. That's where the people get it wrong. African culture is our way of life. It's how we live, how we celebrate it in our songs, in our music, in our poems, in our stories. That's where we want to take it. We want to take it beyond even Africa.
Do you feel that like technology has done its negative stamp on the African culture in terms of art?
In terms of technology, it has enhanced the acceptability of the art to the people, because it has disseminated the art to the lowest people on the ground, because someone can access our music, our poems, our stories on their phone. So it has helped a lot.
Globalization.
Yeah. Because
many have said now that we are globalized, everything is just everybody's business. Everything is everybody's property. Do you think it's a positive thing for African culture?
It's a positive thing for African culture, because they get to show people their culture, because many people are ignorant of the African culture. Yeah. They thought African culture is backwards. They thought African culture
on the streets.
Yeah, they thought African culture is pagan. Yeah. So we want to do away with that myth and show people the right way, what is African culture, and that's how we live it.
And being the agenda that pushes forward that the African identity is not a negative and backward identity.
We want to show people it's a positive identity.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've been inspired. And for those of you who are interested in art, your expression is your right. Fight for it. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been your host, Beryl Oro. Enjoy the rest of your viewing on Ebru Africa.
New Line Limited, we offer current, stylish, state-of-the-art kitchen and wardrobe appliances tailored to suit your preference. We offer unit transfers within Nairobi. Let your kitchen stand out today by visiting us at Chester House, Loiter Street. Your comfort and satisfaction comes first. Floma, professional makeup.
Does your exterior complement your interior? Everyone needs a home that is inspired by nature. At Yenbo Limited, we offer durable, energy efficient and affordable UPVC windows in attractive colors. Visit us at Wall Street Business Park off Mombasa Road. Yenbo UPVC windows, your desire, our challenge.
Floma, professional makeup.
Welcome. It's time for our Daily Connections. On today's show, how to uncover and pursue your passion and dreams, and explore the interesting world of blogging. And up first, how to prepare and practice for your next presentation. For some people, it's the stuff nightmares are made of. Being called to stand in front of a large group of people, palms sweating, heart racing, and mind reeling as you look out onto a sea of expectant faces. It might be a presentation in front of coworkers or a speech honoring a friend. Even if you feel fairly confident in your public speaking abilities, there's always room for improvement. Today, we welcome Donna Cardillo, President-elect of the National Speakers Association of New Jersey, who will help us polish up our public speaking skills. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you, Meredith. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. A lot of people find it absolutely terrifying. In fact, I've heard studies before that say people find it more terrifying than death.
That's correct.
To have to speak in public.
Most people rank their fear of public speaking #1 above everything else.
Oh my goodness. And considering the fact that sometime in your life, the chances are very good that you're going to have to speak in front of at least a small group of people, whether it's a retirement dinner or a wedding or at work, right?
Absolutely.
So how can we get started and start preparing today long term for that time in the future that we might have to be a public speaker ourselves?
Yeah, great question, because there's actually a lot of things people can do. There's much more technique involved in public speaking than most people realize. I've heard people say, well, if I practice enough, I'll get better. But if you practice without any foundation, you're missing. The first thing to do is to get to the public library or the bookstore and read some good books on how to be a public speaker. There's much more to learn than many people realize.
How about classes out there?
Yeah, taking a class is also a good thing to do. You might find those classes through adult education in local community colleges. There's also some private education companies that offer public speaking courses and workshops that you can take.
Let's say we already have the date looming in front of us. We know that we're going to have to be called upon, whether it be in a month or in a week. What are the steps that we should take to prepare that can make things foolproof?
Okay. Once you decide on the main points you want to make and the key information you want to present, should make some index cards for yourself. Large index cards, 5x7, white ones are good. Just with the key points, your outline, maybe one or two things that you particularly want to remember to say.
So you don't recommend writing the entire speech out like an essay?
You can do that to start to prepare, but never to take notes like that with you to a presentation, because first of all, 8x11 sheets of paper are very cumbersome to follow your place on, and you don't want to be speaking word for word from your notes, because that's really public reading, not public speaking.
Right, and then you're looking at the notes the whole time. You're not giving eye contact to the people that you're talking to.
You want to speak more naturally as you would in conversation, and you don't have to get every word right when you're speaking in public. That makes people nervous too. If you make a mistake, you say something wrong, you just correct yourself.
If you sneeze.
And you continue to move on. Yeah, absolutely.
Just keep on trucking.
Because the audience really doesn't care about that. They're really interested in you and what you have to say. You're aware of things like that, flubs, but the audience really could care less.
Right. All right, so how about rehearsal and practicing? What would you recommend?
A couple of things. Once you have your presentation together, it's it's a good idea to tape record it. Use a digital recorder or a tape recorder, because first of all, listening back to it now rather than just going over it in your head gives you a completely different perspective on the material. And you can listen to the content, you can listen to your use of pauses or emphasis on words. But that also helps you to get a sense of the time you're going to take up. Because if you're an inexperienced speaker, you're told you have to speak for 15 minutes or 40 minutes, it's not always easy to gauge how much material you'll need in that time.
No, it's not. And sometimes when you're, I guess when you're doing it in your head, you could speak more quickly or you could speak more slowly than when it actually, when you're actually articulating, right?
Yes. You're probably better off having a little bit less than too much material to present and not being able to get it all out.
Oh, that's a good tip. And so once I've listened to it, you know, maybe I've listened to it myself, should someone get in front of some people to rehearse?
Yeah, it's a great idea if you have the opportunity to do the presentation, even to one person in your family or a friend, but a small group, if you can get 2 or 3, 4 people together, that's good. And it's not the same as presenting in front of the actual audience you'll be speaking to, but when you get up and present it to some other live people, it's an opportunity for you to rehearse the material out loud, to do it while you're using your notes, maybe referring to a handout, or if you're using a PowerPoint presentation on computer. It just gives you an opportunity to run through all of the elements, start to get ownership of the material, and feel a little bit more comfortable. Plus, you can get some feedback from the people that listen to you, and even if they're your immediate family, they will often give you some very valuable feedback. They might say you spent too much time on that, you need to be a little more animated, you use the word basically too many times.
That happens frequently. What are they? I've heard them called filler words, where people say basically or like or
actually. Right.
And so that someone can help you actually pinpoint actually. There I go, right? Now that's all you're going to be thinking about for the rest of the show as you listen to me. How many filler words does she use? Someone can listen and pinpoint those and let you know how many times you might be using a filler word.
Because we're very often not aware of the things that we say or how different words that we use regularly. That's one reason why taping it is good and getting some feedback from live people.
Let's talk a little bit about the relaxation